5 steps on what happens when someone departs, someone breaks away, someone is just walks out of our life, or uh, somebody from our life is taken away from us, or someone just leaves this world. What are the emotions that happens? And we'll give you some very practical 3 steps on how to process that. So, in life, uh, it is such a great opportunity for personal growth and spiritual growth. So, how to find those beautiful avenues of growth, both personally and spiritually. So, the emotions that come from divorces, breakups, death, someone just betraying you, someone that just doesn't communicate and just walks away from you. All of this major uh, changes, sudden abrupt changes in our lives, goes through these 5 stages of emotions. And these are completely normal. So it's okay for you to go through all these emotional shifts and changes. So the first emotion that happens when someone divorces us or talks about it or just walks away from our life, or someone just suddenly dies, the first emotion is shock. Everything is going fine. Even if something is not going fine, you do not expect this. So there is a huge shock that hits you so hard in your face. And sometimes when that shock happens, you actually cannot accept it and you still don't believe it. So you live in this next stage of emotion, which is called the denial. So all through these 5 emotions, there's going to be a constant pattern of pain. The pain is the common thread that threads these 5 emotions. So first one is the shock, a sudden jolt, and your body doesn't even get a time to respond. And then it goes into denial, like, I can't believe that someone would just leave me after being with me for so many years and creating so many memories. And you can't forget all the beautiful memories that you have created with them. How your father took you to the mall, he took you to the movies, to the pizza, how your husband went on a vacation, or your partner took you on this place for vacation, that place for vacation. All these memories just suddenly come up to the forefront, and you're in absolute denial of what is happening. Then when slowly all those emotions starts to dwindle down, then we start to blame ourselves. So the next emotion is the guilt emotion, like, I could have done better. I should have been there for my father. I should have been there for my mother. I should have been there for my girlfriend. And this guilt gets, churned and churned and churned, and so deeply inside of you, and it starts to take a big toll on your body. And then from there, we start to, when we have no longer enough energy to dwell on that guilt, then it transforms into anger and rage, like, how dare he just die on me like that? How dare he leave me? How dare she leave me? So then the next emotion of anger comes in. And then finally, living in those emotions nonstop, 24 hours without sleep, without eating, you get into this cycle, and it turns into some very deep depression within yourself. So this is the cycle that everyone goes through in life when there is a breakup, when there is a death, any kind of major separation in our lives. These are the common thread of emotions. So, and one of the common thread of this depression is that the world is coming to an end for me. It's a dead end. There's nowhere to go. So what is the point of life? So it's a very, very dark space. And this is the time that we must be very, very careful to watch ourselves and reach out to the Sangha members and to others that we can lean on to just uh, be there by our side. So we should always have someone to lean on, and that is why we have the Sangha. So yoga texts, they give us very beautiful ways to deal with this cycle of emotions. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to have pen and paper with us. We literally have to start writing, because if you don't write, your mind will play the same recording again and again and again and again, and will spiral down into a very dark place. So the process is acceptance is the first process. And second step is called surrender. So how do we go through this process of acceptance and surrender? When someone leaves you and they have chosen to leave you, then we have to analyze in our acceptance documentation. First of all, you have your value. We all in our Chitta cleanse made a value statement. So you write a statement of what is your value. Your value that is not based on a man or a woman, not on your wealth or education, not on your children, but just your personal value of yourself. Because these emotions that you're going through are going to constantly beat you down and completely devalue you. So therefore, we all have to have a value statement, the value that can never be taken away from you. Your value is not based on money, wealth, education, relationships. Your value is truly who you are. So in this acceptance writing, journaling that you'll do, you want to answer these very simple questions. In the relationship, have I acted based on my value? And when you analyze it, you will notice that if this person truly valued you, then it is worth fighting for that person, for that relationship. And if they do not fit that bill of actually valuing you, then we have to learn to accept that perhaps this is the universal divine speaking, that maybe this is a lesson that I need to learn to find myself, to re-find my true eternal spiritual self. When our value gets taken away from us and we get so wrapped up into someone else's world, someone else's reality, then we basically have lost our value. So when you start doing this journaling, things start to become a little bit more clearer. You may be fighting for something that you don't need to fight for. And then the third thing is we have to realize that we cannot control anyone in this world, and what people are going to do, they're going to do what they're going to do. The only thing that we can control is how we respond to their actions. So therefore, we have to, when we're doing the writing, we have to always keep in mind that you document what is it that you have control over, which is basically your emotions and your responses. And the fourth consideration is so beautiful. It is to understand that everything in this world is part of our karma, that everything that happens, there is something that we need to learn in this life. There's something that we have done that we have to atone for in this life. So things happen for a very unique divine reason that we may not be able to see. So an acceptance of that. And then we have to accept the fact that the divine has the real interest, our interest at heart, and the best for us, regardless of what happens in our life. So to have a little bit of faith that there's a divine master plan of whatever is happening in our life. Our time is up. And so I wanted to just quickly touch on the next one is the surrender part. You can never fight to buy somebody's love and actually get love. You can never fight it. There has to be, you have to give up the resistance. Unless you give up the resistance, you will not know what is it that you need to learn. What is it that you're going to get? You have to let go of whatever that you're holding on to. And then when you open your hands, then the divine can actually fill your hand up with something very beautiful. So this surrender means that whatever it is that is pulling away from us, that is trying to leave us and we're trying to hold on, we just let it go. And we surrender to the heart that the Supreme Divine is residing within our heart, and it will guide us and will support us and will maintain us regardless of whatever happens in our life. Another day we'll do the 6 levels of surrender. It's a very big topic, how to surrender. So I just want to give you a surface level understanding how important it is to surrender. Otherwise you will fight, and get exhausted and tired and burnt out and still not win. So my time is up, so I don't want to take up too much time. Please keep in this mind, this acceptance of whatever is happening. It's very important. And just to surrender, it's like, okay, I'm not going to fight anymore. It's never easy when someone in your life that you have created memories for decades and decades to suddenly dies or suddenly sends you the divorce papers or separation papers. So I humbly recommend when we're going to do our 6 stages of surrender, Sharanagati, then I'll give you so many beautiful details on how to surrender. Actually, God doesn't send us difficulties. God sends us love only. At least in yoga philosophy, we understand that bhakti means love. And the personification of bhakti, the deity of bhakti is Krishna. And if there is unconditional pure love, how can that unconditional pure love send you any pain and suffering? Your dogs, you love them so much. Can you ever see them and cause them any harm and suffering? It's impossible for you. So similarly, in yoga philosophy, we understand that our suffering and pain, it is something that is all experienced in the mind. When we feel suffering, you don't feel it in your hand, you feel it in your mind. When you feel happiness, something happens, you feel it in your mind. So therefore, yoga is giving us the path of bhakti, means the path from our mind to our heart. If we choose to live in our mind, obviously that means you're not in your home and you're going to face some challenges and difficulties when you live outside of your house. So therefore, in our yoga process, we are always recommending the heart space meditation or the japa meditation, so we can bring our mind, come from our mind, and just always come to the heart.